Welcome back to the Own Your Awkward podcast. I'm your host, Andy Vargo, and every episode we get into what has made our guests vulnerable and how they've learned how to own their awkward in order to live their best life. Stay tuned so you can hear every awkward moment in today's show. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Own Your Awkward podcast. I'm your host, Andy Vargo, and today we have the awesome David Alto from Alto Advanced joining us. David, how you doing?
Good, and how are you today, sir?
I am awesome. I'm just enjoying kind of a laid-back afternoon and starting to make plans for next year, so gotta love it. So, David, I am so glad to have you on here joining us today. What is something exciting you have going on? Tell us a little bit about Alto Advanced and what you have going on with everybody in the world right now.
Sure. Well, again, thank you for having me on. So what happened, so December 13th, I left my corporate job to start my own company that I'd been kind of, dabbling in for a while anyway. And so I was able again to leave my my corporate job and do this full time, kind of exciting and scary at the same time. But it wasn't as scary as it could have been because for the past 3 or 4 months I was really doing both. I was working my day job, and then during the morning and afternoon, weekends, not getting much sleep. I was hyper focused on, growing my business so that I could just, up and leave and hopefully transition to, not being too worried, financially, but everything's going great. It's been 2 weeks now. So that's what's happening in my life.
That's awesome. And so you've been building this business, you've been getting it, getting your base level made, and now you've taken that leap to where it's your sole thing. So what is this all about? What are you doing?
Sure. So I provide, resume, LinkedIn coaching, career coaching, interview prep, and it's something that I've dabbled in for a long time, but mostly gave it away for free. And it was really the start of last year. Well, not last year. Sorry, this year. It's not 2020 yet. So the start of
not quite.
Not quite. The start of 2019. The company that I work for financially was not doing well. We were going to sell the company. We were not going to sell. We're going to franchise. We're not, going back and forth. So I had a LinkedIn account for a long time, but I started to, I wanted to get really active, started looking for work because I didn't want to get to a place where I needed to look for work. I wanted to, leave on my own terms. And really it was through using the platform and learning all the right and the wrong things to do. And I did plenty of those. I decided I was just giving back. I was giving resume advice because, like I said, I've been doing that for a long time anyway. I was helping people out, just, and not thinking about even charging anybody. And as I learned and shared more on LinkedIn, I had these amazing people on LinkedIn that were willing to give me advice with wanting nothing in return, but just to provide, advice and guidance. And I thought that was just amazing. So I started doing the same things. And for about 5+ months on LinkedIn in 2019, I was just, again, giving stuff away. If somebody wanted a resume, I helped them, never charged them. And it wasn't until probably, I think, July of this year where somebody wanted to pay me, and I allowed them to pay me. And then I just started at it. So that's kind of how it all came to be.
So when you initially started getting more active on LinkedIn, I know you said you had an account, but you hadn't really done much with it. Was it really for the design of starting this business, or was it more for the design of getting your kind of affairs in order so that you could decide where you're going to go next?
Oh, no, sure. So no, I was just looking for a new career. Hadn't even thought about even remotely starting my own. No, not even close. In fact, I had interviewed. We have a Amazon call center here in my town, and I seen a position. I went on to LinkedIn because I learned some best practices. Went on to LinkedIn, searched for other people doing that similar role, found a gentleman that worked at the facility here and made a connection. He looked at my LinkedIn profile. We had a call. We met for coffee, and that turned into him, referring me. And he would have gotten a referral if I would have gotten the job. But I received plenty of interviews. Then I had 4 1-hour interviews back to back to back. That's right, to back.
Wow.
All in one day. All in one day. Now, I ended up not getting the job. But what I did learn is, wow, through connecting with others on LinkedIn doing similar positions, I was able to get a referral and get an interview. Now, again, if I would have just applied for that job, maybe or maybe not, I might not have received even an interview, because at that time I wasn't really tailoring my resumes to each job. I was just using one resume to apply for other jobs. And so without learning that, again, I might not have gotten that interview. And then shortly after that, I met an amazing gentleman on LinkedIn named Corey Warfield, and he has a company that's called Shedwool out of Chicago. And he connected with me and wanted to get on the phone with me. He saw a particular article I was sharing and got on the phone. And I told him about the job I didn't get at Amazon. And of course, I told him all the things that I was doing. I was volunteering at our unemployment office here in town with their LinkedIn class and their resume class, just because I enjoyed giving back. And he could really hear that passion in me when we had that call. He just says, Dave, I don't know what you're going to do yet, but you seem to really enjoy doing that volunteer work. So continue to do it. Keep on giving on LinkedIn. You're going to figure it out. And, here was somebody that, again, he's quite the influencer on LinkedIn. And, he took the time to, to talk with me and tell me that he's glad I didn't get that job, and keep on chasing your passions. And at that point, I hadn't even remotely thought of doing this, full time or anything like that. But that just goes to show that the platform of LinkedIn can be more, and is more now, than just a place for recruiters and a place for people that are looking for work. You can really develop some great relationships, or maybe, like I did, find out what you're really, passionate about, just being active on the platform.
Well, I have this philosophy with LinkedIn, and I don't quite know what the numbers would be to apply to it, but I would say at least 75%, if not closer to 90% of the people originally get on LinkedIn and create their membership or get active for the wrong reason, and they stay for the right reason. And what I mean by that is you typically you're motivated for some reason to check out this site. Typically it's because you want to make a change in your career, or you need to somehow sell more product. And so that's why you initially see a reason to get onto a networking platform. But then as you actually understand the benefits of networking at a higher level, and understand how beneficial it is, not just for your own personal development or your career, you stay, because it's not like I'm going to get on here and then get a job and move on. You realize that there's benefits, and you meet these amazing people that change your life.
You are 100% correct. And once I saw LinkedIn different, and I quit looking for, so for months, I just said, well, I'm going to stay the course with my current employer, because I didn't want to look for work on LinkedIn anymore, because I wanted to spend my time on LinkedIn giving back and learning and building and making relationships. And that's, again, so I mean, I turned a total, 360, and just decided, again, I'm going to use the platform for something else. And again, just like you had said, Andy, I started using LinkedIn the right way, and I learned how to build relationships and not just make a connection, but build true relationships with people.
Right. It's definitely a different level of understanding and so helpful once you get to that point. So in your world now, after you were giving away free advice, you were figuring out how to do it. Now that you've stepped out on your own, people can come to you and get coaching and direction and help and guidance on both resumes and LinkedIn profiles. Is that the gist of it?
Yeah, I also help people with interview prep. Maybe they're not, or maybe they have a really good resume, but what I found a need for is people, because we have this resume scanning software, right? The ATS resume bots, as I call them. We're not slowing down enough to really look at the job description. So what I've started providing is for people that have that stellar resume but don't have the time or the know-how or don't care to. I scan their resume versus the job description, and there is services out there that they can do that for free. But what I do is I strategically then place those keywords into their resume so that they can feel more confident when they apply that it actually is going to get seen by real people. And that is a service, again, that's not something that people are really realizing. They could have a stellar resume, but if they're not tweaking it to the job description, they're really missing out. And the LinkedIn part is I so enjoy talking to people about how to really optimize their LinkedIn profile from top to bottom, from their LinkedIn banner all the way down to recommendations and everything in between, and how they can, again, really separate themselves from other applicants, because so many people just don't take advantage of everything that they can do on their LinkedIn profile.
Right. Well, and stepping into the job search, as most of us know, and for sure, that it's just soul crushing when you get out there and you are applying over and over again and you aren't getting a response, but you're getting a rejection. And of course we're going to take it personally, yet if we didn't have things set up to get past that first hurdle of the automated review process, it never was personal because things just didn't line up right. And so we're at least stepping into it with a chance to actually have a shot.
Oh, yes. And the reason that, and not all resume coaches use the resume scanning software, but I really genuinely want my clients, the people that I help, I want them to, again, they have the skill because I'm listening, I'm hearing, I'm seeing what they have. But if it doesn't line up, they don't get, it doesn't even get looked at. So, and my clients have had really good success in getting interviews, because if you get a rejection email within the first couple days, 2-3 days, it is strictly because you did not meet that job requirement. And you might be saying to yourself, but wait, Dave, I know how to do that.
Right.
I've done it for years. But again, if you don't slow down and get it to align with it, it'll never get seen by people. And people don't know what not to include in a resume. No horizontal lines, no vertical lines, no images, no font smaller than life.
Gotcha.
All of those things, again, and I'm constantly posting little daily tips on resume and LinkedIn for free, just because I want people to realize there's things that resume scanning software just does not like, and it's not a person. So when it sees some of those things, it doesn't know how to process it. And if it doesn't know how to process it, your resume, again, might not ever get seen by human eyes.
Wow. Yeah, it's good to know, too, because it helps you to understand. I think of Jeopardy, where you might have the right answer, but if you didn't form it in the phrase of a question, it's still wrong. So it's all about setting it up the right way. So David, we're at that time now. I don't know. You seem like you'd be onto that trivia type stuff. So we are at that place where I got to ask you, you're doing some great things out there in the world. What's that awkward you've had to learn how to own in order to be successful like this?
Oh, sure. And I struggled with this for such a long time. So the dreaded imposter syndrome. And what is that? I struggled with even understanding what it meant. Here's what it means. That you struggle with allowing yourself to say that you're good at something. Okay. Now, So when I was going through this process, even months before, giving away free advice, getting closer to, charging people. And, I'd been in my previous industry for almost 20 years. And so I can say that I was good. I can say I was great at it. But because this was really new to me, and it came kind of all of a sudden, I mean, in less than a year, but it came kind of all of a sudden. So I really struggled with allowing myself to say I'm good at it. And if you struggle at saying you're good at something, you're going to have a hard time really putting yourself out there. So, it was numerous calls. I remember numerous people really getting on the phone with me and saying that you're suffering from this. But they told me, here's why you're good, David. You're good because this is what you do. Here, remember that video, remember that post, or they could just hear it in my voice. But allowing yourself to say you're good at something, maybe it's new to you, is difficult. But that's why you have to surround yourself, whether it's maybe on LinkedIn or in your personal life. You have to surround yourself with people that are going to say, Dave, no, you are good at that. And I would not have made this transition from my corporate job to what I'm doing now without my wife being able to she was able to say, hey, you are really good at this. And that gave me the emotional kind of okay to say that, guess what, I am good at it. And my clients were telling me, even the clients that I weren't charged, they were saying that I was good at it. They appreciated. And I know that I still suffer or can suffer from that imposter syndrome, but that's okay, I guess. I think that's what keeps me some humility. But I know it can be there, and I know it could come back out. So I'm very aware of it, but it can be difficult.
Yeah, and I do think that that's a good point because we do strive to be humble people and have humility and not be cocky. But like you said, if you can't say, yes, I'm good at this, how are you going to sell it yourself or your product to anybody else if you don't have faith in it yourself? And that's huge. And I love that take on the idea of if you aren't comfortable saying you're good at it, you have to have people around you who see how good you are at things so that they're kind of pulling you up and propping you up while you gain that confidence.
That's right.
Yeah, I have this philosophy that if someone doesn't believe in your dream, that it's just that they think that maybe they have the wrong understanding. And so you have to find people who believe in the same thing. It's all about having people around you who are on board with what you're doing, because if you surround yourself with people who tell you it's not going to work, you are going to start to believe it's not going to work.
Yes, and you know what? I think that, the relationships I built on LinkedIn, those were really instrumental in allowing me to say that I was good, because listen, I was not related to these people. I haven't known them for, decades or whatever. And they gave me honest feedback. And then they maybe gave me some suggestions. So they weren't that best friend that was just going to say, oh, you're great, you're great, you're great. They were friends, but saying, Dave, why don't you work on this? Or can I give you some advice? So, without the LinkedIn community, I wouldn't be doing this today whatsoever. And
right.
I so enjoy it, and I still volunteer because it allows me to help others that maybe financially or they're so early in their career But I remember the first time I volunteered at our unemployment office, and these people asked me if I could stay longer. But the room was going to be taken up by a different class. And I said, well, sure, we can move it to Starbucks. 5 people ended up going with me just because they wanted to learn a little bit more. And that felt really rewarding, that I was able to help so many people. And it always doesn't have to be about, the mighty dollar. And on LinkedIn, I think some people think that when somebody wants to connect with them or give them advice or help them, they automatically think, well, why does that person want to do that? They're going to end up selling me something. And again, the platform is very giving. The people on LinkedIn that genuinely want to help only want to help for one reason only, is because maybe they see a little bit of themselves in the past in you and want to truly do help you.
Right, and that is such a good thing to consider, because oftentimes I feel there are situations I've held myself back from, and I know other people do the same thing, because we question the motivations of other people. And and sure, there are times where they aren't going to have the best, or they're going to be somewhat greedy in their motivation. But if you at least step into it thinking they might not have something behind them, then you open yourself up to the opportunities that where people just do genuinely want to help you. And you just have to learn to kind of be prepared for maybe a response on that second or third message when it may become evident that all they want is to sell you something. Because that does happen, but it's not a reason to shut everybody out, because there are so many people out there, like you said, whose only motivation is that they see something from their past, or maybe hopes for their future that they see in you, and they think, well, maybe if I can help this guy, I can learn something about myself, or I can give back or pay it forward, whatever it is.
Oh, yes. I mean, I totally agree. But we do have our guard up because there's people on LinkedIn that want to sell you something, or, want to get, although I don't see it too much anymore, but usually 3 or 4 times a week. A couple months ago, I used to always get somebody wanting to sell me Bitcoin. Not that that's
right.
Great. It's just not my cup of tea. But no, most of the individuals on here that are active, again, just want to be helpful for one reason or another, and usually it's all good there.
Right. So back, just to kind of touch back on this imposter syndrome thing too. So how early on did you start to notice that? Like when you started posting about resumes on LinkedIn or profiles or tips, did you post and then feel like, who am I to post? Or was it a little while later where you started posting more, or were you even hesitant to post your first comment about it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. I mean, I think I know I saw a post and I commented, and somebody said that because of what I shared, they're like, you sound like you're a subject matter expert, man. I'm like, well, I wouldn't consider myself an expert. I dabble in it. And they messaged me a few questions, and they said, well, why don't you share something regarding that? And I thought, okay, I probably could. And, it was just the encouragement of others. It doesn't matter the editing that you do if you shoot a video. It doesn't matter, if you end up spelling something wrong, only Susan's going to come after you, right?
Anyway, and she'll do it in a very nice way.
No, yes, she does, and she's reacted to a few of my posts before. But again, if you're going to share your first video or just going to share your first post, write about something that you're a subject matter expert in, whether you get paid for it or not. And if you help one person or one person likes that, then you know what? That's it, even when I post now, sure, I might get thousands of views and lots of comments, but if I helped one person that didn't know something, I feel good about that. I don't need to, help all 1,000 people that viewed it or whatever. If one person really gained something from it, then that's great. And then I started learning more. And then I've always been a leader that in my previous career that anytime I learn something, you share it, right? Because you're just trying to make people better. And it is no different on LinkedIn whatsoever.
Mhm. Yeah, I like to think about when I'm posting a letter, like an article, and I think because you think about, the thing I think that you can get caught up in is it worth the time? Is it if it's not reaching enough people? But really, what is enough? And the way I think about it is, if I had a friend who needed to know this information or was down, would I take the time to write this letter to them and say, here's something I learned that might help you? And I would do that for one person. I would do that for one friend. So it shouldn't matter if only one person saw it or if 1,000 people saw it, because you would take the time and you would want to help people.
Oh, yes, and I love sharing posts of others. Maybe I have some genuine friends that are posting something, and their post isn't getting a lot of traction. I still remember the most views I've ever received on a post was actually from a share of a friend's post. She's a realtor, and I liked what she had to say, but she doesn't have very many followers, wasn't using the right hashtags. Well, anyway, I shared it, 198,000 views, and she got a lot of feedback, probably more than, and I was surprised that that share got that many, but I just wanted to show her and help her, see what the power of LinkedIn, can do. It just, it was a little much for at least that post, and most people say that shares don't do a lot on LinkedIn, but it depends on the subject matter and whatnot. But
there's so many variables with timing and subject matter and how quick people respond and all that.
Oh yeah, but again,
amazing.
Now I have to share and post just because it's fun. It really is. I don't get a lot of business from my actual posts. I get it through another way that people can find my services through LinkedIn.
Oh, right.
But I just enjoy it. I just enjoy it to share, and hopefully I learn some stuff along the way, and hopefully others will do the same.
For sure. So now I know you said that you struggled a lot with imposter, and it does come back from time to time. How do you get yourself out of that mindset when it starts to kick in?
I think I read a recent recommendation that I've received from client. I have a couple notes on my desk that remind me that I'm good at what I'm doing, but I am always learning still. So hopefully then that doesn't give me, an ego that allows me to change the way I deliver my content. Like to this day, when I shoot a video, I don't edit it. Now, if I screw up, 30 seconds into it, I delete it and start over, but I don't edit it because it doesn't have to be perfect. It just, I am just hoping that somebody learns something from it. It doesn't have to be perfect whatsoever.
I'm the same way with my videos, because everything I talk about is authenticity and awkwardness, and I will do the same thing. If I have a blatant, I forgot my lines, I'll start re-recording. But if it's a or an or I forgot a part of a word, I move forward, because I would feel very hypocritical to be posting about accepting yourself and then being, but I'm only going to show you the highly edited version where I speak perfectly, So.
Yeah, and again, we don't live in a perfect society, so.
Exactly. Well, I do hate to say it because I'm really enjoying our conversation, but we are getting down to the last little bit here. What's some advice you could give people on how to own their awkward?
Sure. I think that you have to share whatever you're awkward about with others that will help you through that process, just like anything. I'm sorry, but if it's an addiction, you need help. And I know imposter syndrome, I'm categorizing it as, addiction or whatever, but it's not. But again, it's still something that you need help with. You get others involved, and you work on it, and it's there, and you get advice from others, whether it's on LinkedIn or it's family members or friends, but you get other people involved. You can't just internalize it because you'll never get rid of that dreaded imposter syndrome if you don't, or anything else.
Right. I absolutely love that. Bring people in, because if you don't tell them, then they're not going to be able to give you that support you need. So that's a beautiful place to leave it, and excellent advice. I really appreciate that, David. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have you on, and look forward to seeing more from you.
All right. Well, thank you. And if anybody wants to find me, just find me on LinkedIn.
All right. And check the links below. We've got them in the description.
All right. Yeah.
Take care. Thank you so much for listening in for today's show. Be sure to visit awkwardcareer.com to continue your journey. And of course, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends so they can find their awkward side and learn how to own it.